Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Marketing the Invisible. I'm Tom Poland, beaming out to you from the sunny Sunshine Coast here in Australia. Joined today by Stephen Lewis. Stephen, g'day, sir. Very warm welcome to the show from down under. Where are you hanging out?
Tom, I am in the inner west of Sydney, where it is sunny but not warm.
Go north, young man. Um, Folks, for those of you who don't know Stephen, he's a copywriter who is has a no bullshit approach. This is no longer a family show, so that's okay. He works with established business owners to position as the obvious choice for their clients. And the reason I wanted to interview Stephen is that um, I had the good fortune to read some of his copywriting, and I was pretty impressed. And whilst I wasn't a prospect for the particular product on offer, I reached out to Stephen and said, "Hey, I'm probably not a good prospect for you, but I'd love to have you on my show because I'm really impressed with how your copywriting gets cut through and how you layered proof in the copywriting and all those things that I wish I'd known kind of 40 years ago. You seem to be doing." So, though, folks, that's why Stephen's on the show, because he not because he's paid us money or we get an affiliate commission or anything like that. It's just he's here because he's got the real oil. So, the official title is How to Cement Yourself as the Obvious Choice for Your Ideal Clients. Now, I've had a look at, Stephen, your website, tailist.com. Sorry, .agency, tailist.agency. That's TALEIST.agency. And one of the things you do very cleverly there is you show people how to not just cement themselves as the obvious choice, but to kind of make folks what you're offering so proprietary. You are essentially the only game in town. So I think you're underselling yourself, Stephen. I think the obvious choice, you could almost say the only choice. But anyway, enough of me. Let's get me shutting up and you talking. Question number one, sir. Our 7 minutes starts now. Who's your ideal client?
It's people who are good at what they do. So they're usually coaches or consultants. Sometimes maybe they own a small agency. Often they're a digital marketer. And they've got as far as they can get with bringing in new clients through word of mouth or doing what they've been doing. They need help beyond that.
Right. So they may be going to business networking meetings or posting articles on LinkedIn or something. It's all a bit random. The results are all a bit predictable, and they really want something a bit more certain, a bit more
That's right.
systemized, a bit more
A
scalable.
bit more systemized and a few less blank looks when they're introduced to somebody, who says, "What do you do?"
Or you put out an email to your list and there's nothing coming back.
That's exactly
All
it.
right. So let's unpack that a little bit. What would you say? Question two, 6 minutes left. What would you say is the problem that you solve?
When you're an expert, you're really close to what you do. So you know where your work begins and your work ends, and you know what somebody's going to get, and you know why someone will call you and not somebody else. So you're a chiropractor, you know why someone should speak to you, not a physiotherapist, or the
Right.
other way around.
All right.
But the rest of us don't know that, and you need to talk to us in a different way from what you're used to.
So I'm guessing that a lot of your new clients, you already said that they're good at what they do, and the clients they get on board are really happy with the results and so on. But they struggle with how to articulate the benefit of that. They're, they're probably doing things like our mission is, and we've got a vision, and we've been in business for 30 years, etc. So if that's
Yeah, they don't talk about what you get.
It's probably, I mean, we're all the center of our own universe, almost, well, literally, I guess. Physically we are. We can't get away from that. So we tend to be self-focused on what we do, what we believe in, what our passion is, etc. Well, that's sort of a sprinkling of small symptoms there. But question three, what would you say are the other typical symptoms that people are experiencing before they find Tailist?
The biggest problem is that people who should convert don't convert. So they'll
Mm,
be introduced to somebody who's got exactly the problem they solve.
right.
And that person will say, "Oh, yeah, no, thanks," or ghost them, or say, "Oh, I've got to speak to my partner." And to my clients, it's like you're having a heart attack. I come up and say, "Tom, I'm a doctor in the ER. Can I help you?" And you're saying, "Oh,
Meh.
no, that doesn't sound like what I need. No." Or, yeah. And
Meh.
they're like, but I'm exactly what you need. What is it you don't understand? And my clients don't understand what you don't understand, and they don't know how to bridge that gap.
So, okay, so coaches, consultants, trainers, they've got their own business. So we're talking about people that are very proactive, they're very growth orientated, they're very committed. I mean, they've probably left a good paying job and are trying to make this thing happen. So they're going to try stuff, is what I'm saying. They're not going to be sitting on their date just going, let all the business come into me. What would you say? Question 4 is, what would you say are some of the common mistakes that these folk who need a systematic approach to their marketing, what would you say the common mistakes they're making that they should stop doing?
They ramp up talking about their credentials. They talk about their credentials, how long they've been doing it. You know, the classic is, I work with a lot of lawyers, for instance, and they always want to tell you, I've been doing this for 26 years. And as I always say to them is, okay, that's great. But what happens when I meet someone who's been doing it for 27 years? Do you immediately go out of the window and they want to say they're leading, they're innovative? You know, these are the kind of things they do, and those don't mean anything to their client.
Yeah. And it all becomes blah, blah, blah for the prospect. It's like eyes glaze over. And that's probably why, your metaphor about the doctor who's with someone who's having a heart attack, it's the articulation of the benefit is not clear. It's not getting cut through. It's not specific and explicit. So it's just words. It's just meaning, it's general motherhood statements that don't really present a point of difference. Let's flip it then. Let's go to leave behind the ugly stuff that hasn't worked. Let's have a look at stuff that does work. 2.5 minutes left. What's one valuable free action, like a top tip that someone could physically take? It's not going to solve the whole problem, but it might take them a step in the right direction.
People they don't buy what you do, they buy the transformation that they're going to get. So what you need to do, and I say this to my clients all the time, is picture what your client woke up in the morning wanting. And they didn't want a lawyer. They didn't want a contract. They wanted to be able to conduct business with more confidence. Or if you're a leadership coach, they didn't wake up thinking, God, I'd love to talk for an hour today about leadership. They wake up thinking, I wish my bloody team wasn't so dysfunctional, or I'd really like to get that next promotion. That's what they want to get from you. Once you've identified that thing, talk about that thing.
Right. So lead with that, get the cut through, lead them by the hand based on where they are and where they want to get to. And then perhaps some of the credential stuff can come later on once we've got them motivated. So one of the things I love about your copywriting is that when I read it, it's interesting and it's engaging, but it's also got a quite clever way of blending the psychological stuff that you need to get the cut through along with the logical stuff. And that's quite unusual for copywriting. So there is this nice balance between the psychological stuff that needs to happen and the rational stuff that helps people understand how it happens. So under a minute left, so I better go giddy up. Free resource. Where can people go to find out? And I know you've got a cracker because I've subscribed to it. Where can people go to get the proof document you've got? Tell us about that.
So if you go to tailist.agency/proof, that's TALE as in telling tales, tailist, TALEIST.agency, you'll get 39 ways to talk about yourself that prove you're good at what you do without saying that you're leading or innovative. It'll teach you how to say things that people will listen to.
Right. So that, folks, it's tale as in story, as Stephen just said, tailist, TALIST.agency/proof. There's also copywriting tips there as well, but in particular, I've subscribed to that, downloaded that proof document, and it's very clever. So that'll get you started. Question 7, 29 seconds left, sir. What's the one question I should have asked you but didn't? And the answer, please.
The question is, how do I know how to make you the obvious choice for your ideal client? And it's a two-part answer. One is I talk to you because you wouldn't believe how many people tell me something and I'm saying to them, why the hell isn't that on your website? Right. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that was important.
All right.
And the other thing is I talk to your clients because your clients will always talk about what they get and not what you do. And that's what you want your marketing to be about.
Perfect. 1 second to spare. Stephen, been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your insights and your wisdom, folks. The website is Taleist, Taleist, .agency/proof. Go get it. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for checking out our Marketing the Invisible podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to generate 5 fresh leads in just 5 hours, then check out www.5hourchallenge.com.